Good evening and welcome to Greater Somerville for January 11th, 2011. I'm Joe Lynch.
And I'm Cayenne Anderson.
And our guest tonight, unfortunately, is late. But we are going to give the intro anyway to get it out of the way. And if she does arrive within probably the next 30 seconds, 60 seconds, hopefully, you'll know who she is. Our guest tonight is the president and lead conservator of Sculpture and Decorative Arts Conservation Services, LLC. Founded in 2000, her company provides conservation consulting and conservation services to many of the area's world-famous art museums, galleries, and historic organizations. Her clients reads like a who's who of the arts world, including Boston's Museum of Fine Arts, the Peabody Essex Museum, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, Mount Auburn Cemetery, Harvard University and MIT, Trinity Church, First Church of Christ Scientist, New York's Frick Collection, as well as the municipal art collections of the cities of Boston and Cambridge. She is well known here in Somerville for her invaluable work at the Somerville Museum, her work with Historic Somerville, and her services rendered during the impressive restoration of Somerville's Milk Row Cemetery. She is a graduate of Vanderbilt University and New York's Oneida State University. She makes her home right here in our very own historic Somerville. It is our pleasure to welcome, at some point during this show, Barbara Mangum. We don't know, we haven't heard from Barbara, we don't know what the problem was, but hopefully she will show.
Well, it's not snowing outside yet.
I think she's afraid of the 1 foot plus
maybe
that they're
she
scheduled.
saw that the city has a snow emergency out there. So maybe she saw that and stayed home and is hunkering down with like a big bowl of soup.
You got your alert from the city.
I did, and I wanted to mention that.
I got 2 of them, so take it away, make sure people know, those who are watching live.
Well, you know what? I could actually do upcoming events. We could just swip it. I was going to do that at the end of the show, but since we got a little time to kill.
All right.
Do you want to do that? The first thing
Let's
is,
do
as
it
Joe said...
front and back.
So,
Front and back. Snow emergency declared by the city of Somerville. Move your cars.
Yeah, move your cars. 8 o'clock. You have a half an hour so you can watch the show, which is good.
Right.
And then you can go move your car.
Right.
8 o'clock, otherwise...
They declared the emergency at 8.
Yes.
You have until midnight to get your car off the road.
No. They start, I think, do they start towing at 8 or ticketing?
No. They give a window.
Sorry. I have a bad ticket karma.
See,
so
I
just
listen
move
to the city alerts.
Well, you have...
8 o'clock
okay.
declaration of snow emergency. You have
You
until...
never listen to anything I say, but you listen to
midnight.
Right.
Get your cars off the even side of the streets, right?
Yes, you want to park to the odd side. Right. And that's unfortunate because I always get blocked in by the snowplow. But
and use municipal lots or those that are designated where
after
you
4
can
o'clock,
park.
that's correct. You can do that. Let's do a little upcoming events.
Sure. What do we got coming up?
So we have January 12th, marks the 1-year anniversary of the Haiti earthquake.
Yep.
And there is an invitation to a Haitian Coalition. That's a commemoration event. It's at Somerville High School, and it's RSVP. You can RSVP to contact at Haitian-coalition.org, and I'm sure it's going to be a lovely event raising money for a wonderful cause.
And their phone number, in case you don't have access to a computer, is 617-625-6400.
Fantastic. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'm going to add this just as a dog owner. Why not? Somerville Dog Owners Task Force meeting is on January 13th at 6, Somerville City Hall. We all know where that is, so if you have a dog and you want to get involved with the dog community of Somerville, go to that. The Friends of the Community Path, this is an important one. They're having their monthly meeting at the VNA on January 13th, this Thursday from 7 to 9. For those of you who are involved or bike to work or walk on the community path and you want to see that get extended.
Or just want to see more open space.
Well, it's about the open space, but really their initiative is trying to link that with the development of the Green Line extension, which I think is quite critical. And so if anyone wants to get involved with that effort, you can find them on Facebook, or you can also attend the meeting this Thursday from 7 to 9. What else? Oh, the Winters Farmers Market. This is an exciting one.
I saw that in the paper. They have their opening.
Officially, this is the second week. It's at the Armory, which is on Highland Ave, as many of you know.
Highland Avenue, otherwise known as the Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Well, not my broken dreams. I don't know. But from 10 to 2. And so for all those people who are big fans of the Union Square Farmers Market, I know I am, Please go out and go to the Armory and support them on Tuesday.
We can
on
now
Saturdays.
get fresh veggies and fresh
Well,
produce.
We can, and now I think
It's coming from greenhouses though, I hear.
Okay, because I was kind of wondering that, because I'm all for the local, and I'm hoping that this is a success.
Right, and I think the pictures that I saw in the paper, a lot of it is like homemade jams and jellies and compotes and
But I
honey.
think there are still like potatoes and things that you buy. I mean, I'm all for jams and jellies, but for those of it, you can only have so many.
I saw a great comment today. Can I do this since our guest isn't here?
Well,
we're talking about farmers market.
Okay, fine. Is it relevant? Because I have one
It is
more
relevant.
article.
They were talking about at the farmers market at Arts in the Armory, they were selling homemade wine.
I bet you were there.
I wasn't there at all. If it's homemade, I don't know. Homemade wine.
Yeah.
And then someone posted a comment about, oh great, Shape Up Somerville is involved in this, but they're pushing alcohol on kids. And I thought, how jaded.
Yeah.
How jaded can they get?
There's a lot of jaded people out there.
Yeah. All right.
Actually,
Sorry.
wine
Go ahead.
Actually, wine. If you're looking for cut calories, wine is actually better than beer and a lot of other things. I mean,
Well,
some
that's
of it.
why I've been able to keep my figure, because
Yes.
I stay away from the
Yes.
suds.
Clearly, you've made a good New Year's resolution this year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
It's 2011. We took a little bit of a break. Joe ended up having some surgery.
I
so
did.
You get your wisdom teeth out.
I had one of the wisdom
think-
teeth out, so I'm only half as smart.
Yeah.
We're gonna
He can handle
continue
that,
rolling here, but our guest has arrived as
Fantastic.
promised. So Barbara, we've already read your intro, so
Yeah.
come on
People
in.
know who you are.
And if you want to take your coat and stuff off over there.
And one more thing.
Thank
I'm
you,
just going
Vaughn.
to say thanks, Vaughn. Senator Pat Jalen is doing her annual soup party, and that's January 16th from 4 to 8
Yep.
at 67 Dane Street in Somerville. So if you want to go and support that, feel free to do so. And now we can continue with our guests.
And I have one more.
You do?
I do have one more. The annual MLK celebration is Monday, and it is a holiday. Welcome to Barbara.
Hi.
We've introduced you to the Somerville audience already.
Okay.
And you're going to have to come a little bit closer to me. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, Barbara Mangum, has arrived in studio
Hello.
after a trek halfway across the city. So we're gonna come
Great.
right back to you in 2 seconds. But the MLK celebration, I think, is once again at the high school this year. Check the city's website. Check the Somerville Journal, which will come out on Thursday, which is before this coming
Yes,
Monday.
correct.
The MLK celebration. Barbara Mangum, thank you so much for coming.
Thank
I know it
you.
was short notice when we asked you to come in,
Yes.
but you are here.
Hi. Yeah.
So we made our introduction. We said that you were the conservator to the stars. We read your list of
Yes,
clients
right.
and who you. So I think what we should do, Barbara, is just go in.
Well, can I throw something out to you?
You are always throwing.
I know, we
something
didn't
out
get
to
a
me.
chance to review this before, so I'm going to put this on Joe. But
Okay.
I actually, we know the main purpose of her coming here, and,
Yep.
and a very
Yep.
important purpose. But I thought also, because she's so involved in so many interesting things, I handed you this little printout here. And just in terms of some questions that I have, just mainly because I'm an architect and I'm very fascinated by what it is you do, we could discuss that and then get into the main gist of it, because we no longer have
This is what happens, folks.
Well,
Cayenne arrives late, the guest arrives late,
No.
and I'm pushed out the
That's not
window,
it.
and they will talk over
Okay.
me.
Oh, yeah.
I had a good
Okay.
reason why I was late.
Barbara, let's start.
Me too.
One of the main purposes that we asked you to come in tonight is you are spearheading and the chief fundraiser for a big restoration project that's going to go on with the Somerville Museum building.
Well, that's not exactly true.
So
I'll put it
let's
straight.
so let's put us straight
Okay.
what your role will be, and then we can come back and talk a little bit
Okay.
about your role.
So I'm on the building committee
Okay.
at the museum. One of 4 people: Evelyn, Michael O'Connell, Richard Graff, and myself.
Evelyn Battinelli.
Evelyn Battinelli, yes, as we all know and love her. And what we've been doing is looking at the building and the needs of the building for over the last 3 years or so. In fact, I first got involved with the museum when I was asked to do a survey there of the collections and the interior climate, and that was actually like in 2004, so that was a long time ago. But so in 2007, I wrote a grant to the Mass Cultural Council Facilities Fund that had just come up Okay, so this was like the first year that it was coming, to fruition. I think this was something that Mass Cultural Council had looked forward to for a long time. And I don't know if you're aware of that particular grant or not, but it's a fantastic grant. And I'm putting in a plug for it right now because it was not funded this year in 2010. But for
By the state
2008
legislature?
That's right.
Yep. Yep.
So in 2007 it was formulated, in 2008 they funded it, 2009, and then this year they did not. So we were not awarded in the first round because the first round went to a lot of very big names like the MFA and places like that. But fortunately there was enough, I think, support for the smaller cultural institutions throughout the state. A lot of people rallied around them and said how important they were to the different communities, that they actually did a second round that year. And the second round was for institutions that were small, and I think small meant you were either less than 5 million or 1 million, so that gives you a sense of small. We're very small on that scale in terms of the Somerville Museum. But we fit the criteria very well. The Somerville Museum, as you know, is just this fantastic organization that works on a thread and a prayer and is really just amazing.
For the folks at home, Barbara, let's just go very briefly. The museum was founded here in Somerville in 19...
No, actually it was founded in Somerville by a number of people who were very interested in history, especially as the Civil War was, the Civil War had happened in 1865, but a lot of the veterans were dying. So just like we had the issues with World War II and wanting to put up a monument, here people wanted to get together and tell their stories, and they really founded the Somerville Historical Society, and that was founded in 1897. And they met for a long time, I believe, in the Oliver Tufts house.
On Sycamore. Yeah. Yeah.
And then they actually started to get a collection because people were bequeathing them material, portraits and things like that, of famous people in Somerville. And these then, eventually, they decided in 1925 to go ahead and build a building. And so the museum that we actually have today was built between 1925 and 1929. Then the stock market crash occurred. And then it continued to be built in a little bit at a time until it was finally finished, I think in the early 30s.
So for those folks at home, the Somerville Museum is located at the corner of Westwood Road and Central Street.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, it's a really great museum, and it has wonderful exhibitions of arts and culture and historical lectures. That's what Historic Somerville does. So there's a confusion because there's not only the Somerville Museum, but there's also Historic Somerville. Well, what happened is that the Somerville Historical Society, which was the one founded in 1897, changed its name in the 80s to the Somerville Museum. And then it was basically then devoting itself not only to history, which is what the earlier society had done, but also to the arts and promoting arts and culture. And educational programs and things like that, which has continued to this day. So I was involved actually through my background in art conservation with the Somerville Historic Preservation Commission. So this is all very confusing, I know, for people out there.
There's a lot of there's many entities that we're not a bunch of fuddy-duddies with gray beards that look to the history of our city needs to be preserved.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So the Somerville Historical Commission under the guise of Dick Bauer. And then you have Brandon Wilson and Christy Chase, who work for the city, who are part of that organization. You have Historic Somerville, which is an organization near and dear. And then we have the Somerville Museum.
That's right.
And we have the Somerville Room at the Somerville Library, which is a depository for a lot of information.
Right.
So.
And then, we actually, Historic Somerville looks at everything that happened yesterday as history and fair game for us to look at in some kind of historical context. So we don't have to only look at material 50 years ago or beyond, because it's all history. It's all what makes us who we are. So we're very interested in a lot of the other programs, and we collaborate with other organizations, but just with that historical bent. So Anyway, so with the Somerville Museum, that's where we actually meet.
And people at home should know that Historic Somerville and the Somerville Museum are both nonprofit organizations.
Yes, they are.
Right.
That's
so
right.
they do not receive funding from the city in any way, taxpayer money.
No, only through grants.
Through grants.
If we're fortunate enough to get those. And the Somerville Museum, what I was going to say earlier is that around 2007 I applied, working with other people at the museum, Evelyn of course, and Regina Pisa, one of the trustees, to the Mass Cultural Council Facility Fund. And we received a grant of $104,500. So that was fantastic. That was not the entire amount we had asked for. We had asked for a project scope that was over $300,000, but it was very good, and we were very happy to have it. And it's a matching grant, and that means that we have to come up with the funds to match that. So that is.
So you're going to wind up with $210,000.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So we scaled our project back to be just for this at this time, because we do have plans for the future. But at this time, we're looking at replacing the slate roof and with new high-quality slate. That slate is from 1925, and it does it tends to basically delaminate and slide off the roof at times.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
So you don't really want that happening. And then we'll also be doing things like installing a snow guard, and it has wooden gutters that have to be lined with copper. All of this has to be done in an historically accurate way. It has to pass muster with the Historic Preservation Commission.
And the building itself, I understand, is designated historic.
It's part of the Westwood Road Historic
District,
Yeah, which is a beautiful section of the
The
city,
shingle-style
certainly.
homes up there on Benton and Westwood. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful section.
And now I read that if you were to raise enough money, the hope is also to get accessibility. Is that true?
Oh, yes.
That would be
Well,
it.
we do have not only, we're taking this in small bites.
Okay.
And so right now, we are looking at some very urgently needed repairs. The ceiling or the roof has been leaking, and you can see this from the interior ceiling with peeling paint and things like that. That has been going on now for many years. And for many years, we've had wonderful volunteers who have gotten up there and they've patched it. And we've just come to the end of the life of the roof, and there's no way around that. And unfortunately, because we do want to preserve the slate look of the museum, it costs a lot of money. So for $209,000, which is what we now have that we're looking at as a project to be matched with these other funds, we will also be doing the painting of the windows, which is also scraping and repairing them and that kind of thing. The larger project, the $300,000 project, would have also included insulation and the introduction of storm windows that would have been historically kind of invisible.
And for those of you who have never visited the Somerville Museum building, they need storm windows because
Yes.
I've been to a few events in the middle of winter and it's cold.
Yes, it is. And of course, we want to just keep the climate as stable as possible. So the master plan is to also put in handicap accessibility, first floor bathroom, so that would help with that particular problem.
Right.
There would be a ramp probably in order to get the handicap accessibility, but we do actually have to add on slightly to the museum in order to do that. So we have to go through the Historic Preservation Commission and others to do that. And of course, we would also really like to get better climate control.
Sure.
And the
Because
collections.
the museum does still house a large collection.
It does. It has certainly a very large library, especially excellent in Civil War material, but really from all periods of Somerville.
Yeah, because I think most people, Somerville residents over a period of time, one time or another, have been to an event at the museum. And most of the two major rooms downstairs are basically exhibition spaces.
That's right.
So that when you go to one of the events that I went to was the Old Theaters of Somerville
Yes,
exhibition.
right.
And then you have your early music afternoons and
Right.
the Preservation Commission Historic Preservation Commission does their annual awards, which
Yes,
the mayor
that's right.
gives out.
Yeah.
Those two rooms are basically function rooms, so I don't
Right.
think anybody quite understands that there is a large collection of artifacts housed in the museum. My favorite, I still have to say my favorite, is the flying staircase.
Oh, yes.
That's right in the
Yes,
middle.
yes, that's
Can
very
you tell the
beautiful.
folks at home, I mean, people don't understand what a wealth of history is involved in Somerville. That was designed by Bulfinch.
That was Charles Bulfinch. He
Yep.
designed it for the Barrel Mansion in 1792, and that was a mansion that I believe was over on where the Ursuline Convent eventually
Yeah,
was.
but
in that
someplace down
area.
in East Somerville.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And anyway, eventually it became, I believe, the McLean Asylum.
Part of the McLean Asylum estate. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then after that, it was taken down, and it was actually the woman who was the heir to this estate was she had them take the staircase out of the mansion before I guess it was demolished, and she called up the Somerville Historical Society and asked them if they wanted it.
Right.
And they did, and so they actually had it then introduced into that major.
They incorporated
major
it right
space.
into
They
the main room.
incorporated it in. Yes,
Yeah.
that's
It's a
right.
beautiful,
so that was in
beautiful.
the 40s.
This is what they call it, a flying staircase?
Yeah,
Is that what
flying
they call
double
it?
staircase.
Flying double staircase.
And
See?
it is a very.
You are the
gorgeous-
architect, but I know something about it.
Joe, you're wonderful. Is that what you wanted me to say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You have some things you want to talk to Barbara
Oh
about.
no, well, I mean, I think that getting along, we're building up to it, so they're in the need of repairs, and so maybe we just go through and talk about. You have a $25 if you donate $25 up from now until Valentine's Day, you get a 1-year membership of the Somerville Museum.
Incentives, folks. Incentives.
So people have an
Yeah.
incentive to join, among
And-
the other things that we talked about.
Yes, and of course, any money that's donated at this point is matched by the Mass Cultural Facilities Fund grant.
Who do you want
one
us?
to one.
Who do you want us to hit up? You want us to call Marshall Sloan at Century Bank?
You know,
who do you want?
honestly-
We'll call anybody and put them on the internet.
This is what I would like. I would like to see. There's this concept in fundraising that's doing your fair share, and what I would like to see is that all the organizations and people of Somerville who have, and out of Somerville, who have ever used that museum or who ever hope to. I think they should all pony up at this point. I know Historic Somerville will.
And it doesn't have to be a large
No.
donation.
Again, everything is doubled. So even the smallest amount, it adds. It adds up. But we're doing quite well right now. We have both. I've put a number of things on the web so that people can look and keep up with how we're actually fundraising.
Can you give us the web address before?
Oh, got a lot of it,
Yeah.
yeah. So one thing is that we actually have put up a website for the Somerville Museum Building Fund, and that's actually what it's called. One word, Somerville Museum Building Fund.org.
Okay.
And if you go on there, you'll find lots of information about the actual technical aspects and what we're doing and why. That will give you links then to the Somerville Museum website so that you can see why you should care
Gotcha.
about this museum.
What their
kind of-
programs are, what they do for the city.
All
Yeah.
the educational programs they do, which are just fantastic. So that's somervillemuseum.org. It also has a connection to us at historicsomerville.org, and that's because not only do we invite you to join our organization and be really involved with the promotion of history in Somerville, but also we have PayPal online so that you can donate
That's convenient.
online and make it very convenient for yourself.
Yep.
And then we are now, another person actually recommended that we get on Facebook.
I was just going to
There you
ask
go.
that.
We are on Facebook.
You are?
Yes.
Somerville Museum is getting connected.
I know. You know what's
But
actually...
don't let that deter you from going to the corner of Westwood Road and Central Street
Yes.
and meeting Evelyn Battinelli in person.
Oh, you have to do that. She's one of a kind.
Now,
She's
this
one
is
of
an
a kind.
interesting little fun fact here. I was doing some research here before the show, and did you know that there actually is a Facebook group? There's not a lot of people in it, but it's called Views of Historic Somerville, Massachusetts, and they are trying to collect images of historic Somerville. And I didn't know whether you were aware of that,
I
but
was not aware of that.
They're
Which
on
just
Facebook.
goes
Right
to
here
show-
on Greater Somerville.
Yeah,
You learn
see?
something new.
So maybe they have pictures. They had this beautiful one I just looked at the one. I didn't actually get into the group, but you might want to check that out if you guys are on Facebook, and because it seems like they're
Historic Somerville is on Facebook, and one of the projects I have on there is that I'm really trying to get people to download their postcard collections, because we have many people with postcard collections.
Do you want to see mine?
I have. You know what?
People send them to me.
Or link to it, but it's a
them.
very fun way to spread the world.
I found a couple, because I am an architect that's been renovating my home forever and it's never done, and I pulled down some walls and I found these amazing postcards, and this one was very intact from 1905.
Oh my God, that's
And it was
great.
from a man to a woman from Framingham to my address, and it said, I'm as lonely as this horse looks, and there's this little black and white photo of a horse on the front. And it was phenomenal. I have like
That's
2 or 3 that I just found
great.
in the walls of my house.
So
I don't know if they're that
scan them
worthy.
in.
That's nice.
And
On
post
Facebook.
them to us.
That's
yes,
nice.
that's
That's
right.
great. You
That
know
would
what,
be
I'm
really
gonna do
great. Yeah. And the other thing is that the Somerville Museum right now, we're still lagging about getting them on Facebook, but the Somerville Museum Building Fund is on Facebook.
And that's, folks at home, that's, I think, what you need to know, is that the Somerville Museum, excuse me, is an extremely, extremely important part of this community. And right now, in these tough economic times, we have a beautiful structure right there at the corner of Westwood Road and Central Street. We have dedicated volunteers such as Barbara and Evelyn Battinelli and Mr. O'Connor. I mean, they get many people give their time and they give their talents to the Somerville Museum to make it a worthwhile place for us to visit and to learn. And they do a lot of educational programs for the kids in the city. So they're going through a little bit of a tough time. They need a new roof. They need some new windows. They need ADA accessibility. And hopefully we can crank the heat up beyond 60 during the winter in the place. But, the purpose of the show tonight is to give the shout out to the Somerville Museum. Barbara's giving her time and talents to the Somerville Museum. So I think, whatever you can contribute, whatever you can help them with is a very, very worthwhile cause. Barbara, we don't have, do we have a lot of time left?
Well, no, we have about a minute left,
Okay.
and we have all the upcoming events, making sure everyone moves their cars. You have about 2 more minutes to do so. Please do that. Snow emergency, odd side of the street. We're going to put on all the websites that Barbara mentioned tonight. We're going to put those on our website.
Thank you.
So that you'll be able to
That'd
find
be
that. And you can go to our blogs at the bottom of the screen. You'll see that. I think that's it. We've got about 20 seconds.
Okay. Well, if for those of you who didn't know, we didn't have a show last week because I had a wisdom tooth out. And as Cayenne said, now, Joe, you're only half as smart. So Somerville, thank you for tuning in. Cayenne, Barbara Mangum, and I want to thank you. As always, stay safe and stay informed.